Hey, everybody. This is so exciting. First of all, I don't do a lot of live stuff. You know that. I'm kind of lazy. And this is fun to do this because not only is it bringing some of you gals together, but it's also bringing my amazing client, Amanda Tress. I know many of you heard the show, but if you hadn't, you should probably still go listen to that show. It was the latest episode at glambitionradio.com, where I really shared more about my journey. There's a lot of humorous things there too over the last several years. And, I just was not willing to do what I thought it would take to drop a lot of that extra weight. But something shifted when I started learning more about Amanda's program. And first of all, I want to say thank you for being here. And if you're watching the recording, thank you for signing up, because I believe, that some of you even wrote me to say that, Allie, I'm doing this because you did it. And I believe that now I can do it. And also I was very honest in saying, you know what, I am very averse to over controlling things and keeping track of everything I'm eating. And I really eased into this as a lifestyle. And I think some of you are really into this stuff and you're going to go all Amanda. You're going to go like whole hog. Like, I'm tracking every freaking macro. I am like tracking how high I'm jumping. I mean, just crazy. And then there's those of you like me, like, today I'm going to learn how to eat this way. Right. And I'm going to start kind of tracking what I'm doing. And maybe I'll get back to the gym. Right. So it's, Amanda, you said something that was progress, not perfection.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's where we need to really all come from. And then, so this session, this is going to be my second round. I shared with all of you before that I started this a little bit, kind of in April. I kind of started learning what Amanda was doing and then trying on a little bit by bit. And then I was like, I think I'm ready for this. And I'm like, don't put me in the forum. Don't tell anyone I'm doing this. I like to do everything very privately. And I started seeing some great results. And literally, I mean, it sounds like the story, but it happened. I had clients, Tish Mefford actually, she texted me. She's like, what have you been doing? You look amazing. I said, it's Amanda's program. We're going to get a whole, round together. And so I decided to come out and talk about it this round, because I'm going to be doing it again. Because now I'm ready to dial some things up. I'm ready to try more of the advice. I'm ready to do it a little more on plan. So today, the purpose of the call today was to introduce you to Amanda. She's going to go through the program. Then we're going to answer your questions. I'll also be very honest in some things I didn't want to do or wasn't ready for. And then, some little tips and tricks from ways I found to kind of hack Amanda's system.
The half-assed fat loss is out.
Yeah. So I'm going to turn it over to Amanda now. She's been just such a pleasure to work with over the last year as her business coach. And so now I'm turning over this platform to her because this is her expertise.
Thank you so much, Allie. And I am thrilled to have each and every one of you in the program. And I know that Allie has been a huge inspiration for you guys. And we're just really pleased to be able to answer some of your questions. Allie's going to be sharing her tips for success. As we get started and I share an overview of the program and what makes the Faster Way to Fat Loss highly effective, I would love to hear from you guys in the chat feature. Tell me where you're calling from and your one main goal through the Fast Way to Fat Loss. So again, as I start to share what makes the Fast Way to Fat Loss highly effective and give you a little overview of the program, go ahead and make your way to the chat feature. Tell me where you're calling from and one main goal you have through the program. So I have incorporated 5 elements into the Fast Way to Fat Loss to make it, frankly, the best program on the market today. And I say that, with full confidence, and Allie knows I'm not going to hold back from that. I'm really excited about the thousands of transformations that we've seen through this program. One of the main strategies that we implement into the Fast Way to Fat Loss to make it highly effective is that we eat the right macronutrients at the right time for the right reasons. What I'm referencing here is that we implement what's called intermittent fasting each and every day. And Allie can attest to this. She's been doing this now for a few months. Each and every day, we do a 16-hour fast, and we do an 8-hour feeding window. And you might have heard on the podcast that Ali and I recorded, this was a little intimidating for her when we first got going. And so if you guys are feeling overwhelmed regarding this concept of intermittent fasting, please know you're in good company. This is a cutting edge strategy. It's counterintuitive. We are going to fast from dinner tonight until lunchtime tomorrow. So again, if you want to try this, even starting today, we're going to start the timer on your fast after you eat dinner this evening. We'll then go to sleep. We'll wake up tomorrow, 7 a.m. Say you had dinner around 7 p.m. tonight. When you wake up tomorrow and kind of get ready for the day, by 7 a.m. tomorrow, you've already completed 12 hours of your fast. We're then going to focus on drinking water and black coffee, herbal teas.
Coffee.
Yes.
Right.
We're not gonna. Ali, do you do black coffee or do you put a little bit of creamer in it?
Okay, so here's my little cheat. Like, I'm gonna have the little cheat tips. So I do a dash of coconut milk. I know you're not supposed to, but it seems to be fine for me. I need just a little something in there.
Yep.
That's been right.
I would say if you guys do Ali's strategy with a little bit of coconut milk, a little bit of almond milk in your coffee, let's try to keep it under 50 calories, meaning we don't want to do half a cup of cream.
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah. Just literally like a little dash, like a tablespoon or something.
Love
like,
it.
Maybe not even.
Yep. That's perfect.
Okay.
So again, we're eating the right macros and nutrients at the right time for the right reasons. We are implementing intermittent fasting, a 16-8 strategy each and every day. I promise it's more scary than it actually is in reality. We're also consuming the right amount of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, because here's the deal. If you overconsume on carbs, if you overconsume protein, or if you overconsume fat, guess what? We're going to have a really hard time burning fat or losing weight. If we have too little carbs, fats, or protein, our bodies are going to go into starvation mode. And we're going to have other major issues like a suboptimal thyroid function. We're going to cause our body to store fat around the midsection, et cetera, et cetera. So we want to have the right amount of macros and nutrients at the right time for the right reasons. And I'm going to train you on how to use the MyFitnessPal tool to track your macros. We will discuss that more in depth as we go through this call. The second element that I incorporate into the fast way to fat loss to make it highly effective is that we do lift heavy to develop lean calorie burning muscle. Now, Ali and I are going to discuss this because Ali started the program with a focus on nutrition, which is really fantastic for the initial round. Many of you, some of you will choose to do the workouts. And I believe, Ali, you're going to do the workouts this round as well, or you're going to incorporate some of them, which is great. So we will, again, have those workouts through the program that you are able to do. The third element that we incorporate into the fast way to fat loss is that we do engage in high intensity interval training, which you might also hear called metabolic training, in order to effectively burn fat. And our goal really is to deplete our glycogen stores to then burn triglycerides for fuel. So when you do high intensity intervals, you're able to say, okay, I'm doing basically muscle building cardio or fat burning cardio versus just simply hopping on an elliptical and doing 60 minutes of low impact or low intensity activity.
Checking your email.
Yeah.
That's when I knew, I'm like, I'm probably not working out. If I can check my email while I'm exercising, this probably isn't doing much.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. So we will engage in that high intensity interval training. The fourth element that we're going to focus on is we are going to maintain the proper mindset. We're going to work to develop the proper mindset and disposition for success, because most of us are pursuing ambitious wellness goals. And I'll look through some of those goals that you guys listed in the comment feature. But we need to trust the process, stay positive. You guys know that. You hear Ali talk about that a lot, even as a business owner. Mindset's important. So absolutely something that we're going to focus on. As women, when it comes to wellness, we tend to count our defeats and our losses instead of our wins. End of the day comes and we say, oh, I didn't quite get my workout in, or I didn't hit all the reps and sets, or shoot, I missed it on the macros, or I didn't get enough sleep last night. That's going to change through this program. We're going to focus on daily victories, which is really, really important. And then the fifth element that might be a little bit counterintuitive is that we're going to prioritize rest through the fast way to fat loss. Our main priority is nutrition. Our second priority is rest. as women, we are chronically stressed. We are told we need to be a business owner and raise the next generation with excellence and be part of our church and community and go 100 miles per hour, 24/7. But in reality, we have to rest. And if we don't rest, then we have chronically elevated levels of cortisol, which makes it impossible to burn fat and lose weight. So really important that we consider all of those different elements. I'm going to read, Allie, through some of these introductions here.
Yeah.
On the side here. Looks like Dodo says, I'm from Pasadena, California, hopefully I said that right. I'm hoping to lose belly fat and be able to eat clean without starving myself all the time. Oh, absolutely. We have Tristan from Frederick, Maryland. I love that area. Wants to balance hormones and have a maintenance program. Absolutely. Mia is calling from Boston, hoping to lose 25, mid 40 mom pounds. Absolutely. That I've snuck on. Yeah. And we can relate with these, Allie, can't we? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
You girls are speaking our language.
Yeah. All my weight gain was in the middle too. I don't know if some of you have that shape. I'm more apple than pear, you know? Mm-hmm. And that's always been very stubborn. What's interesting about this, something kind of unlocked that, and the middle, like my waist is kind of back. Mm-hmm. And I'm not the type to go share photos, but Brett will attest.
I will attest.
I'm down 2 sizes. It was fun. We just went shopping in Palm Springs for my birthday, and I screamed from the dressing room. I'm like, I'm back in single digits. I got a pair of shorts that were an 8. And so this is, I'm telling you, I think you all know this. I've never shared a program like this. This isn't my style to go endorsing people or saying, you got to try this. Let's all do this. But I really think so many of you are going to have a good time with this. And if you need me to translate anything Amanda's saying as well, let me know, because she could get really into the terminology. I didn't understand what a macro was for like a week. Then I finally figured it out. So just remember, Amanda, keep it basic.
Well, and that's a perfect transition, because let me do this. I'm going to explain the food cycle. So the reason that the fast way to fat loss is so unique is because I have perfected a food cycle that is paired with workouts, and it's taken me about a decade to perfect. So you probably heard that on the podcast with Allie, but I'll quickly run through that food cycle, and then we're going to get some feedback from Allie, and she kind of tells you why this was hard or that was hard. And then we'll share some very tangible tips for success. So every single week through the fast way to fat loss, we're going to start with a low carb macro day. Monday is a low carb macro day. And then we're going to repeat low carb macro day. So Monday and Tuesday both are low carb macro day. The goal on a low carb macro day is to consume less than 50 grams of net carbs. Net carbs are your total carbs minus your fiber equals your net carbs. You will use the MyFitnessPal tool to calculate your macronutrients so you can be sure to stay under that 50 grams of net carbs. And what we could do even, Allie, is kind of talk about your personal preferences on a low carb macro day, what sort of foods you like to focus on for lunch and dinner. Maybe go ahead and share 2 or 3 of your tips for a low carb macro day.
Yeah, and let's talk about the food too, because I think something that is really great about this, you've probably all heard of a paleo diet, right? Which is eating like natural foods. You go dairy-free, grain-free. For me, if I can eat avocados all day, I'm pretty happy. So really for me, I've always done better with a little higher protein. So a typical low, by the way, and macros, can we define that, Amanda? Because that was confusing for me. Yes. So define just what macro is.
Yeah, absolutely. So macronutrients are carbohydrates, fats, and protein. And we also consume micronutrients, which are equally as important. But again, through the fast way to fat loss, we focus on carbohydrates, fats, and protein. Yeah. And we want to have the right amount, not too many, not too little. We'll have hormonal issues if we're in a macro deficit. We'll have, fat storage and weight gain if we have an excess. So we're really trying to kind of hit that sweet spot when it comes to
So on a low carb macro day, typical days, I'll have my little coffee in the morning, maybe sip on a little kombucha, right? I know you do sometimes too, Amanda, depends. Maybe not on the low carb day, but lunchtime I'll have like salmon. I'll do a grilled salmon with I'll make a salad with avocado and tomatoes and a little oil and vinegar dressing. I'll have, in the afternoon, like some almonds for dinner. We just love grilling. So I'll make like some fish with just a ton, like a grilled veggie salad and this green goddess dressing. And so I'm telling you, I don't have trouble with the low carb days because I like those types of foods so much.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually very interesting. On the regular macro days, I realize I've been under eating carbs.
Yeah.
Because I think intentionally a lot of us avoid them because we're like carbs bad, right? It's reminded me to eat more fruits. It's reminded me to eat more like good, good rice, good grains, sometimes potatoes, things like that. But the low carb days, like I really enjoy. I mean, how many of you actually do you like low carb? Some of you I'm looking at right now on the screen, but does anyone? Okay. I like a lot of those foods. You give me a steak and a like a bunch of veg, like I'm okay with that.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. And I'm glad that you brought up a regular macro day and how you saw you were under consuming carbohydrates, because that's a very common theme. On Wednesday and Thursday, we are going to do those regular macro days. And on a regular macro day, we're going to consume quite a few more carbs. Many of you have heard of the different trends in the marketplace right now related to extremely low carb diets. Unfortunately, extremely low carb diets are detrimental for women long term because they tend to negatively affect hormones. Okay, so we actually don't want to completely eliminate an entire macronutrient that our body is meant to consume and use as fuel. We want to prioritize those clean carbs like fruits, as Ali mentioned, sweet potatoes, quinoa, other vegetables and different things that are high in carbohydrates. So on Wednesday, Thursday, we're going to say, okay, we enjoyed those 2 low carb days and we kept it, pretty high fat, moderate protein. But then Wednesday, we're going to go back to a higher carb. And the beauty of those higher carb days is they will give you a lot of energy and really help to rev up the thyroid function as well. What are some of the other carbs that you typically enjoy, Ali, or even some of the meals that you consume on a regular macro day?
On a regular, by the way, that's a fun day when you wake up and realize it's regular macro day. Yes. So I'm planning dinner at like 7 a.m. I'm like, all right, Brett, here's the list. Let's go. Now, again, Amanda, I'm not even sure if some of these are kosher on the program, but I do think like specific types of rice, right?
Oh, 100%.
Okay. I'm kind of revisiting the plan now. Now, what about potatoes? You can answer some of the questions now. Some potatoes are fine.
Yep, absolutely.
Sweet potatoes are all potatoes?
Sweet potatoes are my favorite complex carbohydrate, but all potatoes are fine. Even white potatoes are great.
Okay, good. Yeah, because again, I'm telling you all, like I didn't go research like all of this like to make sure I was doing it right, but it worked. So like we love sauteing those little baby potatoes and like some rosemary and salt and pepper. I'll have that with steak or chicken that's marinated. At the grocery store, I found this great, I'll see if I could share it in the forum once you put me in there. I found this amazing paleo cookbook in the grocery store that had all these, we make these mango marinated chicken wings. They're unbelievable. So like Brett doesn't feel like, Brett's not really not doing the program with me, but he's like, well, I'll just eat what you cook. And so naturally he's feeling better too. And, and what you could do if you're cooking for your husband, by the way, is also, because I do like to cook. That's how I kind of relax at the end of the day. I like to just putter in the kitchen and it turns my brain off and it puts my feminine back on. But Brett, he's a big guy and he needs his potatoes. So like if it's a low carb day for you, what I'll do is just make him a potato or something and add on. He doesn't even know I'm doing a diet with him. Like, he doesn't even know it's a plan. I'm trying to think of some other meals we've had. We've made some of your recipes as well. I think the fish tacos.
Oh yeah.
Grilled fish tacos with the mango salsa. And, we don't have a lot of time to cook. So sometimes I'll shortcut an ingredient. You go to Whole Foods, you get the pre-chopped stuff or you get the pre-made salsa or whatever, as long as it's natural. But we do, over the summer, we do a lot of grilling. So we do a lot of grilled meats and fish with a grilled romaine salad sometimes and some potatoes or rice. It's just, pretty simple. That's generally how we put our meals together.
One thing I want to point out, ladies, is that you hear Ali talking about the different foods that she's consuming. She's also eating quite a bit of food. So we're not doing a bird food diet. This is not where you are going to be eating like a rabbit. We're going to be having the meat and the potatoes. And if you're vegan, we have a whole vegan cookbook as well. But it's so key that you're consuming enough whole foods. And from the perspective of the approved foods list, if it comes from the ground or it has a mother, it is approved. Okay, so you don't have to write on the form and say, is broccolini approved, Amanda? I didn't see radishes on the list. Ali Brown, can I have radishes? no need to do that. If it comes from the ground or if it has a mother, it is approved. You can consume it on the Fast Way to Fat Loss. Monday, Tuesday, we try to keep to high fat, high fit fat. So avocados, nuts, fish, moderate protein, low carb. But then Wednesday, Thursday, we're having more of those complex carbohydrates like sweet potatoes and other really, and totally good recommendation, brown rice and different things. So yeah, absolutely fine to be sure that we're having enough. And then what we'll do on Friday is we're going to do a low macro day. And we're also—
These are the days I have trouble with. So
Really?
I want some tips on, yeah.
Okay.
I had a little trouble on those days. So if you can answer.
Let's talk about it. I'll give a few of
about that.
my tips for low macro days, which is Friday and Sunday. So quickly, let me just run through the food cycle so you ladies kind of know what we're doing each and every week. And then I'll give some tips for low macro days. Again, Monday, Tuesday, low carb macro. Wednesday, Thursday, regular macro, which is a higher carb, moderate protein, moderate fat. Then we're going to do a low macro day Friday. Saturday, we're doing a regular macro day with a leg day treat because we'll do a leg workout if possible and practical. And then on Sunday, we're doing another low macro day. On the low macro day, we're having 25% less macros overall. 25% less carbs, 25% less protein, 25% less fat.
You're eating less. I didn't like that. I want to undo that part of the program.
Yeah.
Can we?
You're so funny.
Well, I don't.
If
tell us about what are your tips for getting through that day? Because for me, I definitely felt like I was kind of, I don't know if it was more mental. I was irritated that I had to
Interesting. Okay.
eat a little less.
That's good feedback. So here's a few tips. And first, the why behind the what. The reason we do a low macro day is because I also want you to prioritize rest. I don't want you to go to the gym and grind through a workout. I don't want you to do an insane workout at your home. I don't want you to run a half marathon. I want you to rest, give your body a break. And you're not expending as much energy, so you just simply don't need as much fuel. Typically on a low macro day, I'll break my fast a little bit later in the day. So for example, yesterday I broke my fast closer to 2 p.m. because once you break your fast, you'll feel that your body kind of gets that appetite going and then you just want to eat. And I like the feeling of being satiated. I don't like to feel that, I just finished my entire meal and I'm still hungry. I want to feel satiated. So I'll drink more water, even some USDA certified organic juices, cold pressed juices, or herbal teas through the morning. I'll break my fast a little bit later. And then, continue that theme of resting. I'll go to the sauna. I'll go get a pedicure. On my rest days, I'll kind of treat myself to something else since I'm not working out. And then, I just continue to focus on the healthy fats and good proteins and complex carbs as well. I would say, my two biggest tips: break your fast a little bit later in the day if possible. And then also give yourself something else to look forward to.
That's a good idea. Besides dinner. Cause that's helpful. And that's a good tip because sometimes by accident, I've pushed my fast a little later. When we're traveling, and you can't coordinate, like when we run a drive to Palm Springs, it's 4 hours and all there is between there really is a Starbucks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up just waiting. I'm like, well, I'd rather wait and get a proper meal at the hotel. And your body, I know this sounds crazy, everybody, your body just gets used to it. I thought I was going to fall over. I warned Brett, I'm like, you better get ready to call the paramedics. I may drop dead during class. Like, I don't know what's going to happen if I don't eat. And it actually has taken a lot of stress out of my life. I just want to add that in because we don't wake up concerned about what we should eat before the workout, after the workout. Traveling is so much easier now. We save money on room service breakfasts. We save money in those places. But really, so that's a good tip. I'm going to try that now this round, is on those days waiting a little later. Because if I can have a nice big lunch, I don't feel deprived, like a Cobb salad or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And give myself that, maybe that'll be beauty day.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me do this. I'm going to share a few of my top tips for success. And then as I'm sharing those, I'd love for you ladies to write any and all questions that you have for Allie and myself. And she'll continue to add some of her tips. And then I know we're going to talk about some modifications that she made as well, as she did the first round, which frankly is going to be comforting for you ladies because you'll see that this doesn't have to be an all or nothing. You don't have to say, well, I'm going to 120% change everything about my lifestyle right now. We can do one thing at a time. In regard to my tips for success, once you watch the MyFitnessPal video about how to use that MyFitnessPal tool for calculating your macronutrients, I would actually consider entering your meals into MyFitnessPal either the day before or the morning of. So in other words, if you're like, Amanda, I want to start testing these strategies and trying to track macros on Thursday. If this Thursday you're like, it's prep week, I'm going to start testing and trying and experimenting, consider entering your meals into MyFitnessPal Wednesday night or Thursday morning so you can see where you're ending up with the different macronutrients. You'll be able to pull up a pie chart right there within the MyFitnessPal tool. And again, I have a tutorial video that you'll be able to watch about this. But if we plan well, it makes all the difference in the world. And I remember, Allie, when I was with you not too long ago, you were, entering into MyFitnessPal. How hard was that for you to figure out how to use that app?
I was the kind of person, if I'd see someone doing this stuff, I'd roll my eyes, honestly, and be like, ugh, are you measuring your chicken? Like what? Right. That little app has been very, very helpful. And what I like the most too, is that you can even use a scanner and just scan some foods. And I found even some things from Whole Foods that were prepared fresh there, I could still scan and it came up instantly. You do have to check to make sure. Sometimes people have entered stuff that enters their library and you've got to check, make sure it looks right, when you scan it. But you're going to actually end up really liking the app. I also like that, we're not focused on the scale in this program, but I did enter my weight before, and I do weigh in each week. That's just something I like to do because I like seeing it. For me, it has gone down and down. So it's a nice place to just record everything. In the old days, you had your little journal and now you have this thing, and it's great because it goes everywhere with you. And then, the pre-planning is important. That's hard to do as a mom, as a business owner, but if you can kind of think through the next day, these are the mistakes we make, right? Then Brett and I end up using DoorDash. We order stuff later. We're like, oh, why did we eat that? Think ahead and plan a bit ahead, and it's going to make your life so easy. And the tool will help you add everything up. So you can kind of gauge, all right, I know we're going out to dinner tomorrow night, so maybe I'll eat this for lunch. Once you get the hang of it, it doesn't seem like a big problem.
Mm-hmm. And if you ladies are still listening and saying, okay, macros and you will see on the MyFitnessPal tutorial that MyFitnessPal actually gives you the recommendations for how many grams of carbohydrates you should consume, how many grams of protein, how many grams of fat. So you'll see that right within the tool. You'll probably be around 85 to 100 grams of protein to consume on a daily basis, somewhere in the 150 to even 175 or 200 range for carbs. So you'll see that right within the tool. If you have the Fast Way to Fat Loss cookbook, you can search Fast Way to Fat Loss within MyFitnessPal and you'll see the macros for each recipe. Additionally, if you have your own recipe from a cookbook or you found it online, you can actually pop the recipe into MyFitnessPal and it will calculate the macros for you. So it's really nice to have that tool. My next tip for you would be when we get started next week officially, so next week, next Monday starts the food cycle and the workouts, I would have some simple go-to snacks on hand. So you've heard Allie talk about having some almonds and everything. I would have raw veggies, just cut them up, prep them in advance. Nuts are great, many different kinds of nuts, even jerkies, hard-boiled eggs. Those are great snacks as well. But then don't hesitate to say, okay, my snack today is just going to be a smaller meal. It's going to be a smaller meal, maybe my leftovers from lunch or a preview of my dinner. That's completely fine as well. What are some of the other snacks that you typically have on hand, Allie?
We found a recipe for these amazing paleo deviled eggs.
Ooh.
Which I go off by myself when I think about them. I'm going to have a moment about these eggs. These deviled eggs. If I can round up the recipe, I'll post it. Jerky. Yes. Some types of bars too. And I know where, I'm so glad to not be doing shakes and bars and all that stuff, but there are some good bars that I've found that are more protein focused and natural, like with even like buffalo. If you like jerky, there's some interesting types of bars now that have, that are more natural with meats. Mm-hmm. And like a little mini meal. So I'll have maybe some fruit with slices of turkey or just something. You'll kind of get creative. But I agree, the more stuff you keep around that's healthy, you want to open that fridge. And my trick too is Don't stuff it all in the veggie drawer. This is a trick I do with my kids too. Have the healthy stuff out. And ideally that's what you're going to reach for. It's helpful.
Love it. Really, really good tip. One of my other tips is, as I've mentioned, drink lots of water. When you wake up in the morning, often you feel hungry, but you're actually simply dehydrated. And that same signal that tells us we're thirsty tells us we're hungry. So many times we misinterpret. We should focus on drinking water. I always have a big glass of water next to my bed. I drink it room temperature so that my body quickly absorbs it. And I drink a ton of water through the morning as I'm working. The nice thing you'll find about intermittent fasting, specifically for those of you who are business owners or work and just need to be really energized through the day, you are focused, you are energized in the morning. And I think Allie would agree with that. And then once you break your fast, you'll kind of feel that you start to slow down. And because your body's using energy to digest food, you do get a little bit, tired and kind of ready for that nap. So again, let's drink lots of water. We'll keep the energy high. You'll feel the difference between days that you don't drink enough water and days that you do. And then quick tip for you, vary your proteins and your healthy fats. It can be easy to get into a rut with the Fasted Way to Fat Loss. We don't want you to feel like you're eating the exact same foods every single day and you're so bored and you're just simply having tilapia and asparagus or chicken and broccoli. There are so many good in a bikini prep plan, that's not what this is about. None of us, looking toward the stage. We want to consume whole foods. If it comes from the ground or has a mother, and if it's tasty, we want you to enjoy the process and enjoy this program long term. I want you to create a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah. Can I give a tip on that?
Please. Yeah.
Because we did get into a rut. After 2 weeks, we're like, this is no problem. After 2 weeks, I'm like, I cannot eat this salad again. Like it was a great recipe, but then you eat it too much. So we literally, I grabbed Brett during the day because that's when we have childcare. And I said, we're going to stop at Whole Foods and actually just like putter. We're going to putter. When's the last time you puttered around the grocery store and look at the fish count and see just what looks fresh? We'll find a recipe for that. That's when I actually got octopus, which is a pretty brazen thing for a non-chef to buy. I now know how to debeak an octopus. The kids love it. They think it's gross and they're like, this is awesome. And I made an octopus ceviche. I have learned how to cook different types of fish. Sometimes it's a fatty meat, but Brett's from Australia. They eat a lot of lamb. So occasionally we'll do some lamb chops. So it's actually good because we get into ruts anyway, no matter what, but you'll start being more conscious about what you choose and trying some new foods. So really go in. So my best advice is go in and just see what's fresh that week and try something new at least every week.
Allie, I would love to answer a few questions. We'll take a couple minutes to answer questions. Charla has a really great question. Charla, I'm so glad that you asked because we definitely need to address this. She said, I joined last week and started using the app. It's showing only 60 grams of protein seems too low. You're absolutely right. We need to bump that up. Seems like something might be off with the settings. And low macro day was only 898. What we probably need to do is update or change the settings on the weight loss. Maybe you did some weight loss, a little bit, maybe 1.5 pounds or something per week. Let's just change that to a 0.5 pound. But I also want you to listen to your body. Let's go ahead and I would say you should be closer to 85 grams of protein on a daily basis. Listen to your body. And if you're like, Amanda, I'm still pretty hungry by the end of the day, we need to bump up and we'll just do incremental increases, 5% across the board, carbohydrates, fats, and protein on a regular macro day. But I want all of you to really listen to your body. If the end of your feeding window comes and you're still famished, we know we need more fuel. If the next day it's 10 or 11 and you're now pretty accustomed to intermittent fasting and you feel lightheaded and that you are about to pass out, we obviously need more fuel. If you're exhausted, we need more fuel. There's many different ways that we know we need to bump up across the board. Now, conversely, if the end of the day comes and you're like, well, it's a low carb macro day. I've been having a lot of healthy fats, a lot of good protein, low carb. I'm very satiated. I'm full. I couldn't possibly eat another bite. We actually know we need to decrease. So we are going to use some intuitive eating through the program, which is a really important point. So let's do that, Charlotte, is go ahead and we'll bump up all of your macros across the board. So I'd probably put just 0.5 pound of weight loss. Okay, Sandra says, I eat vegan, sometimes vegetarian. Good for you. I have trouble eating enough protein. I mean, how much tofu can one eat? Any tips? That's a really good question. I would recommend having some Vega protein. Vega protein powder is a really good option if you are into shakes. And I know Allie and I, we prefer, to chew our food. But Allie, you probably occasionally do a shake.
It's great in the afternoon for a balanced snack or meal. And there are some days that I do need to get in more protein and carbs. And so I'll throw in some fruit. And so use them, but as a tool, right? Not as like the addiction, but yeah, for vegetarian, vegan, I've heard good things about that powder, and it sounds like it would be necessary.
Yeah. And maybe some collagen peptides as well, or some BCAAs, because you absolutely need protein if you want to build muscle, which is only going to maximize metabolism. But we have a lot of vegetarians and vegans in the program, and we even have a vegetarian and vegan cookbook. So we'd be happy to give you some more suggestions in the small Facebook accountability page or via email. And we can share some experience from other vegan clients as well. Roya says, my biggest concern is we usually eat dinner at 8 p.m., but I can't wait until 1 or 2 p.m. to eat. Would be hypoglycemic. How do I manage the late dinners? What I would do, Roya, is just simply slowly extend your fasted period, and we will slowly kind of cut down on that feeding window. Maybe this week we'll try to break your fast around 11 a.m. or noon, and then you will eat until 8 p.m. with your dinner. That's totally fine. You don't have to go all in with the 16-8 immediately. You can slowly start to incorporate that. Allie, when you first started, did you immediately go 16-8, or did you ease?
I actually did. I didn't know it was an option. I just thought, Brett and I talked about it. I'm like, well, let's just try it today. Just try it, just relax, just try it one day. And every hour will seem like a whole day, but just keep distracting yourself. I think you gave me some good advice. I just need to stay out of the kitchen. Do not go near the kitchen. And just get to work and get focused. And then before you know, then 11 o'clock, we get excited. We start getting excited about lunch. Yeah. So I didn't have a problem with it. I mean, I'm telling you, I was terrified and I thought I would die. And now it's just such a nice lifestyle. But yeah, I've had friends who have done this, and you just kind of ease in if you need to. Maybe just start having lunch or a meal at like 10 instead of noon, right? Yeah. And you have to see what works for you. Mm-hmm. And I'm seeing some questions as well. On the flip side, people are eating dinner early. Mm-hmm. Right. So if they have a set dinner time with their family, what do you recommend for that?
Absolutely. And I see Charlotte asked, what about going 10 to 6 p.m. instead of 12 to 8? I have young children. We eat dinner around 5. That's absolutely fine. And some of you might work night shift, or you have a schedule that is different on the weekend. We can definitely move the feeding window. For most of you, breaking your fast at noon and consuming food until about 8 p.m. is going to be the sweet spot. For some of you, we're going to move it up. Some we're going to move it back. Totally fine. The goal is that we have a longer fasted window so that we can burn fat more effectively. Our bodies can work to heal. You can simplify and say, listen, our bodies are in one of two states at all time and doing one of two things at all times. We're either fed or we're fasted. We're either digesting food or healing ourselves. We want to give ourselves more time to heal and cell repair and boosting the immune system. There is so much research to back up the fact that intermittent fasting is fantastic for health, preventing Alzheimer's, preventing disease. So many different research articles that we can share. And I actually also have a certification that's accredited by the biggest organizations in the wellness industry for this particular program and lifestyle. But yeah, we can edit and move as necessary. And I always say, do these different things when possible and practical. And Allie, again, great example. Allie, maybe just as we get ready to close here, tell us a few things that you did differently and then kind of share, but your results are still great, so that's really encouraging for people.
Yeah. So 3 last tips I want to leave everyone with. And by the way, remember, this call is not a substitute for going the trainings Amanda has for you in the program. So you're not going to know everything today. Today is just kind of our introduction, right, Amanda? I mean, you really walk through all this in a lot of detail. Mm-hmm. The 3 things. Number 1 is we were big wine drinkers, and I'm married to an Australian, and he likes his drink at night. So I had to make a lateral move. And what I do now is I sip a really nice tequila. And I got these glasses, you can get them on Amazon, that you put in the freezer, and it keeps your drink cold without watering it down. And I have like an ounce in that, and I get really good tequila. This is not like Sauza or something. Okay. You get like a nice one that you feel it's very special. And I sip that at night. And actually tequila I learned is a probiotic, and the internet said it helps weight loss. So I don't know. So it must be true. And of course I'm looking for something just to say that, right? I'm like, here, this blog says that tequila, but honestly, I'm telling you, there's something clicked, and I don't know if that was the one thing, but anyway, so I do that. And so I'm out with friends, or I'll get a vodka soda, just nothing with sugar, right? And I feel so much better too, just much more clean. So that's the Allie tip. Another thing is, the workouts for me, I just wasn't into like a prescribed program at that time, but I said, belong to this beautiful health club gym. I've never set foot in a class. I used to teach years ago. I got burnout, but I saw these circuit classes and I joined, and I really try to push myself. We have 3 rounds on different equipment, and I had to catch myself because I'll usually just go to the lowest weight because I'm thinking I can't do more. But like each class, so now I'm like, I'm going to go for the 15 pounds now and really try that. And then now I'm going to try to hold my plank for a minute. And I can't even believe I'm talking about planks. I don't know who I've become, but really just 3 times. I'm telling you, I do a circuit class, but really push myself like 3 times a week. And that's about it. On the off days, I jump in the pool with the kids. I'll do a walk. But for me, it was just more about getting back in motion, but really pushing myself and not doing level 3 on the elliptical, watching Netflix, right? Or the recumbent. That's even worse, right? The recumbent bike. So it was making that shift. And then the last thing I want to suggest is, I travel a lot, and I was wondering how this would work. But I tell you, I tried to go gluten dairy free several years ago, and I saw a big difference in the restaurants today at how receptive they are in working with you when you're placing an order. Some of you are nodding. I mean, years ago, you'd be terrified. Oh my God, I'm going to be a pain in the ass. They're going to hate me. And now they're like, I simply say, I know what to take out for the gluten. So I just ask them to leave that off. And then I'll just say, I need this prepared dairy free. And they're always like, no problem. I've never had a problem in a restaurant. So if you're that person who doesn't want to be the pain in the butt, and you don't want to bother the server, and you've gone out with sometimes those friends and you're like, oh God, here we go. I need to prepare it this way and that way. And I just haven't had a problem. We've eaten in basic restaurants and really high-end restaurants, and they're very accommodating. So don't let that scare you. Actually, eating out sometimes is easier for us. So, it's all good. And my biggest wish for all of you is just do what you can with what you have right now. The energy you have, the focus you have. Pick some part of this to say, I'm going to be totally engaged, at least in this part, right? Make that commitment to yourself. And then you may find yourself actually enjoying this. That's truly what I found with this. And I never thought I'd say that, but I'm actually enjoying this as a lifestyle. It works for me. Half my premier group's doing it. And I see many of you in here I haven't seen in years. So it's great to see you here as well.
Thank you so much, Allie. And ladies, thank you for all the thoughtful questions. If we did not get to your question, feel free to post on our small Facebook group page. You're also welcome to email. But Allie, thank you so much. We're going to have so much fun. It's going to be a great 6 weeks.
Okay. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a great day.